this episode, we are talking about cheap Amazon bangers. Love it or hate it, Amazon is a fantastic way to get some games at a great deal, but only if you're quick. But game collecting is also about the slow game. In this episode, I'm going to tell you a story about a game which I've waited 30 years to add to my collection, as well as a giveaway, so stick around for that one.
Game Pickups! Building the Game World! Rush Trips! Live Game Hunting! Oh yeah!
Now again folks, so welcome back to another Game Pickups video. And game collecting is all about the long game. It has taken me absolutely years to build the collection you see around me today, and I absolutely love it. And there's so many different ways to build a game collection. I'm going to be going through a couple of those ways today and some tips to add some cheap games to your collection. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week like this one, and I really want you folks along for the ride. Now, let's get into some absolute bargain Amazon pickups. Some people love it, some people hate it, but Amazon can be an absolutely amazing way to add some cheap games into your collection, but normally only if you're quick, especially if you have Amazon Prime membership. Now, on Amazon Prime, they often have flash deals, and you can get games for an absolute bargain, but only if you're quick. These are normally very limited, but you can pick up some absolute bangers for a couple of quid. So first off, we have this game for the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. This is the Tasmanian Tiger HD, and this set me back just $5.99. That's $5.99 delivered for a brand new game for the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. Now this is a game I don't really know a lot about. I think Ty was originally released on the original Xbox, but this is why I love Amazon for buying cheap games. For $5.99, I'll take a punt on a game which I normally wouldn't add to the collection. Sticking with the Xbox Series X and Xbox One, we have this game, Human Fall Flat. Now this is a game which has been on Xbox Games Pass for the longest time, but here is the thing. Even if you download a game on Xbox Games Pass, you are in theory just renting that game. At any time these games can be removed from Games Pass, but fear not, of course you can buy a physical copy of the game like I have here. This one was $6.99, and I think this is a bit of a hidden gem. This is a really good, albeit incredibly frustrating game. It's a really weird one. Essentially you just have to cross a level, which sounds very simple, but with the physics, the puzzles and everything in this game, it is an infuriating yet fantastic game, especially for $6.99. It's not just the Xbox Series X and Xbox One that have some absolutely amazing Amazon flash deals. They're also on the Nintendo Switch, and that is why I picked up this game for £8.31. This is Fort Boyard 2022. I'm sure you've all seen the game show by now. This is a bit of a guilty pleasure for me and my wife. It looks like a mixture of kind of small mini games, and it's the kind of game that for full price I probably wouldn't pick up, but for £8.31 randomly, I think it's worth adding to the collection. If for nothing else, it's a real oddity. Next up we have another absolute banger for the Switch, which I cannot believe was £16.42. I don't really know how they get these amounts up, it's just exactly what they go for. This is Bravely Default 2, and this is a game I've been meaning to pick up for the Switch for absolutely ages, and it's just not very often that Switch games drop in price. To see this one for under £20 is an absolute bargain, and my wife is enjoying this one at the moment. It's kind of a traditional Final Fantasy kind of turn-based combat. It looks really good. It's a really good one to play on the Switch. It has great pick up and play. It is a longer game, but at least then you can kind of get comfortable on the sofa with your Switch and enjoy. And it's $16.42. This is an absolute bargain. You can even get PlayStation 5 games for cheap with Amazon Prime deals. And this is a game that I knew I wanted to get as soon as I got a PlayStation 5. I'm a massive fan of real-time strategy games. I think I was following this game when it was on Kickstarter. And for $11.75, I really wanted to pick up this game, Iron Harvest. This is exclusive to this gen of consoles, I think just because there is a lot going on. It has destructible environments, large amounts of units, and if you're an RTS and steampunk fan, this is an absolute must. And for just over £10, this looks absolutely incredible. It is a complete edition. It has the base game, the Rusty Revolution and Operation Eagle add-ons, and to have all that DLC and all that gameplay on a disc for $11.75 is a bargain. Our final cheap Amazon Prime banger this time is again for the PlayStation 5. It is Call of the Sea, and this is a special edition of the game. And for $15.95, this is a great pickup. It may not be the most exciting special edition. It's got an art book, some postcards, and of course a copy of the game. This is a game I've wanted to play for a long while. I haven't looked too much into this one, as I know it's very story driven and I don't want spoilers, but really happy to add it to the collection. Hopefully that just goes to show you can get some absolute bangers for super cheap on Amazon, but remember, you have to go fast. These games are normally on offer for a very short period of time because I'm presuming they probably have a limited number of copies, but if you're quick, you can get some cheap bangers. Who is ready for story time with Dan the Games Man, baby? I'm going to tell you about a game which I have wanted, not just for my collection, but wanted in general for 30 years. This is a game which I have wanted since it was first released in 1993. And that is of course because this is a game based on my favourite movie of all time, Jurassic Park. Now, if you haven't been watching the channel for a while, you may not realise that Jurassic Park is, of course, my favourite film of all time. I have an absolutely massive collection of Jurassic Park merchandise, which I'm always adding to. But also, you may not realise that my first console, which I ever owned, was the Sega Master System. Now, of course, back in the day, not so much nowadays, when a new movie came out, there was normally a movie tie-in game. And I saw the adverts for the Jurassic Park games, and they all looked absolutely amazing. But the thing was, the only console I had at the time was the Sega Master System, and these games were also released for the Game Boy, the Sega Mega Drive, and the SNES, as well as the NES. Now, I only had the Sega Master System, and this was when I was young, so you only really got a video game when it was either your birthday or Christmas. Now, unfortunately, Jurassic Park came out in the summer of 1993, so I had a long while to wait until Christmas, by which time I kind of grew bored of my Master System. I'd had it for a year or two by that point, and it wasn't until a summer or two after, probably about the mid-90s, that I was at Kabu and found the game I'd been looking for. As such, it wasn't the version I wanted to buy, but at Kabu I found a copy of Jurassic Park for the Sega Master System. Now, this is not that original copy, but that copy of that game back that day was the reason I fell in love with car boots. I think I picked this game up for like £2 or £3. This is at a time when people were just getting rid of their Master System collections. I remember going home and playing this game to death. I still have not finished this game to this day, but recently I went back and bought a copy of this game and I still love it. But this is not the exact game that I wanted back in the day. So I had the Master System version of Jurassic Park, but this was not the version of the game I'd wanted. I'd seen adverts for this game, and one game looked absolutely amazing. It wasn't even the Mega Drive version of this game, which I have now. This is not the same game that's released on the Master System. Back in the day, it wasn't just the same game released to all ports, because different consoles were different bits. Like the Master System was 8-bit, the Mega Drive was 16-bit. And this game was a totally different beast. This was an absolutely incredible game, but it still wasn't the game I wanted. It's one of 3 Jurassic Park games I now own on the Mega Drive. We have that one, as well as the kind of improved version, Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. Now, in this version, you could play not just as Dr. Alan Grant, my childhood hero, you could also play as a Velociraptor. This was an absolute jump up, as well as patching, because you couldn't go back and patch a car. Some real issues with that game. There is, of course, one other Jurassic Park game, or should I say Jurassic Park The Lost World game, released on the Mega Drive, but it's still, even though it's an absolutely incredible game, it still isn't the game that I really wanted. The copy of the Jurassic Park game that I wanted was for the Super Nintendo, the SNES, the SNES, and it was a console that I didn't own. None of my friends owned. Only one of my cousins owned that console. I only owned 2 games for it, Donkey Kong Country and Star Fox, and I really wanted to play this game, and it's taking me 30 years to add this game to the collection. It was recently when my brother was in CEX in Manchester that he saw this copy of Jurassic Park, the game for the SNES, complete in box, and this is in absolutely amazing condition. It is boxed, it is complete, it has the instructions, and it means I can finally go back and play a game which I've wanted to play for 30 years. Now, I said at the start of this video there's also going to be a giveaway. That's because recently I did also pick up a loose copy of this game, and it's just a small giveaway, it's just a small gesture, but if you comment down in the below, I love Jurassic Park, and then I want you to tell me in the comments the video game that you wanted as a child that you have either still not got or have added to your collection 20, 30 years later. And at the start of next week's video, live at 5 on a Wednesday, I'm going to draw the winner and I will send them a copy of Jurassic Park for the SNES. So if nothing else, at least this will be a game that isn't missing from your collection. So go into the comments below, start your comment off with I love Jurassic Park, and leave me in the comments that one childhood game which you wanted so long and still haven't got, or you've added to your collection today. I can't wait to go back and read through some of these incredible nostalgic stories. There we have it then, folks. That is another Game Pickups episode. It just goes to show, building a game collection like the one you see before you is a long game. As I said, I have waited 30 years to add that SNES copy of Jurassic Park to my collection, and I love all of my games. They just hold such value in my heart, not just monetary but memories. Some of these games I've wanted for absolute years, and for me that's what game collecting is all about, preservation. So if it's a game I've wanted for 30 years or a game I've wanted for 30 minutes, all of the games in my collection I absolutely love, and I just love game collecting, and I love having you folks along for the ride. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, subscribe, remember to comment below for your chance to win that copy of Jurassic Park, and as always, keep playing the game. See you all soon.